I mean, it sucks, but like,
Yeah.
it was inevitable. I mean, I think what's funny is I think last year I stopped paying my union dues because I was like, you know what? There's no money in this fucking writing shit, and I don't want to get caught up in it anyways. And I think I'm just gonna stop, you know, maybe being a part of the union because it's just so bad. Like that's what's wild about it. Them going on strike, right? Is I was like, I gave up. Like I went on my own strikes since last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, there's no money in this, and I don't even know if I believe in it anymore. And I also feel like if like I also started realizing like maybe I don't want to be a writer, you know, and if I am going to be a writer, it's going to be either like on my friend's show or like on my own show. But I was like, I don't think this has any value to me anymore. Not realizing that something was actually boiling and bubbling and brewing, and that it was going to come to an end. So I'm glad that I followed my instinct of being like, let me step away from this shit. Because I had like,
was there something that happened?
Okay. Yeah, there was a couple of job interviews that I was like, you're gonna pay what? And you want me to commit how much time? Like,
and these were union? They had to be, right?
And some weren't.
Oh,
some were and some weren't, because with the streaming shit, because even with Bill Nye, they were like, oh yeah, we got picked up for a second season. So I wrote, I think on this, no, I wrote on the first season. No, what happened is they split it. They had like, oh yeah, we're doing 12 episodes. Oh, cool. That's like not bad, you know, for that kind of a show for a streamer. And then, they split it into 2 seasons. So it was like 6 episodes for the first season, 6 episodes for the second season. I was like furious because I was like, what? That's not okay. I know the money breakdown makes no fucking sense in that regard. And, so I was like at the tail end of money being good and as a writer, and, but also at the beginning of streaming getting worse for writers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how it started. They started splitting up those, they would call it 1 season, then they would split it into 2. You get so fucked in that situation as a writer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so when I would, like in the last year when I was, trying to get a writing job, or interviewing for a writing job, I should say, I was like, I don't even want to fucking do this. Like, you know, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, what's the point of this? And also, I will also give you some hot, juicy goss. When I did work at Bill Nye, there was an executive who was such a dickhead. I actually got JFL New Faces that year, and they wouldn't let me go because I had to be on set, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this. And I honestly, I'm so mad at myself because I remember thinking I should just fucking go. And I wish I had. I wish I fucking had.
You didn't go?
I didn't go. I didn't go.
Did your reps tell you not to go? Yeah.
No, my reps were like, oh, well, you know, we cannot encourage you to go. They were like, I cannot.
Yeah.
Like, they were very much like, we don't think you should do that. But I was like, now I look back and I'm like, my reps aren't always looking out for my best interest. You know, they're looking out for their best interest.
Right.
And that was.
Did you get to go the next year?
Nope. I've never been to JFL.
You've never been back again?
I've never been at all. I got it, and because I couldn't go, they were like, okay, well, you're not a new face. We're going to replace you.
Oh, wow. No, it's one of the things that like now I even before I interview for a job, I tell my reps, you know, these are the times that I'm going to want off. I'm going to want some flexibility. Like if I need to go do something, I need to be able to go do it. Like, because I've had experiences in the past where you're so locked in for that time, that you really can't do anything else. And I just think it really, at least for me as a stand-up, it was something that was very difficult to get used to. And I don't think I ever have, as a matter of fact. I think a lot of stand-ups, or not even a lot of just stand-ups, like I think a lot of writers have questioned whether or not they want to continue in the career in the last
Yeah.
few years. And I feel like it's something that's important to talk about, because you can tell, like with all of us, like every writer I've talked to, not every writer, but I would say a good chunk of writers that I've talked to, you can tell that we're in a transitionary period because of the strike, because we're post pandemic, because we're post all these things. We're returning to the, like, it just still feels like we're emerging in other, in ways, you know? So it's just like, it's still hard to tell how things will settle. And I think it's really, really sobering that I'm not seeing as much bullshit as I saw a few years ago. Like as many like pretending like everything is perfect, and that is not a deeply flawed industry and a deeply flawed profession, you know? So it's just like, it's going to be interesting to see how things settle down.
I agree.
I don't know.
I'm also interested in it, and it does feel like people are making big decisions
Yeah.
moving forward because they have to.
We have to. Yeah.
We have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's just important to just talk about the fact that everyone's feeling kind of like unmoored.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling, I just used a big word, everyone. So,
speaking of the word,
so I just kind of, so I kind of just feel like, but there is something that's going on too that's really positive, is that even though everyone's feeling all of this like instability and not really knowing where we're all going to land, I feel like there's this straight up zen about it. Like there's this like acceptance that like, and I think it's because we've come through the pandemic. Like we just have to accept that we don't know what's going to happen, and we just have to ride with it.
I would argue that the zen is coming from a place like it's almost like you're forcing it because you have to have faith that things are going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it's beyond the pandemic's influence. It's more like, do you believe in yourself or not? Because, and that's why unions are important, right? Because they allow each other to give each other, like every person gives each other that extra boost of confidence. Like we're all holding hands, like we're all in this together. And I feel like that's a part of that zen feeling that some people are having, where it's like, oh, it's been shitty for you too. Oh, it's been shitty for you. Oh, it's been shitty for you. Oh, but it's just been shitty for you too. Oh, okay. Cause I really was like, when I stopped paying my union dues, I was like, I'm embarrassed, you know, like I don't want to talk about this with my, you know, I'm really gonna talk about this with Solomon Giorgio. Like this motherfucker's writing on every fucking show ever. Yeah. Like I can't like be like, boo, I'm like really not feeling good about this, you know, because I also don't want to seem like I'm begging for a job either, where it's like, that's where it gets tricky too in this industry when your homies are in the industry as well. Like sometimes you can't vent without sounding like you're fucking trying to get something out of somebody, you know?
Right. Or like you're not struggling, because that's another thing that's not allowed.
Yes, exactly.
Is struggling. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you, I don't know. What does it look like for you to not continue to, like, I guess, quote unquote, be in the industry? Does that mean that you focus on stand up, you focus on your own work, you don't staff anymore?
I mean, it's more just like I'm still in a like what is the next chapter? I'm still very much, like I said earlier, in a transitional space, like mentally and physically as well. But I don't know. I'm not sure, and I think I just keep thinking, like, you know, I always think about how fun it was on At Midnight when I would be a guest, because I got to invite all the homies to come help me write jokes and brainstorm, and like literally it would be like 6 of us, and sometimes, and not like all 6 people were like sitting there writing jokes. Some of us were just like talking shit and just there to eat snacks. I loved that, because that's how I think that's how writers' rooms should be.